Namaste, Dandavat Pranam. By the instruction and grace of our spiritual master, Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Sripad Bhakti Madhava Puri Maharaj, we are here reading Srimad Bhagavatam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We're also praying to Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Paravartikacharya Sri Srila A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada, paying our humble obeisance and gratitude to His Divine Grace for giving us this translation and commentary of Bhagavatam. We're also praying to Srimati Radharani, following the guidance of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, who told us if we can't understand anything about Srimati Radharani from reading Bhagavatam, then our study has been for waste. Yadi seva vanchitasya ma yasya kripaya vayam labema sarvam prapnuma prayojanam damni Sri Bhagavat Pade Krishna sambandhi sarvam cha yadi na jani mahetutam ashtadashasu sahasreshu shlokanam Bhagavat oktishu Radharanim navindamatada Nishphalam Bhagavat Adhyayanam Radhikaya Kripam Vina Vyartasyat Sarva Parishrama. If we are cheated out of serving that personality whose mercy awards us everything we need, including residence in the Lord's holy Dham and all things connected to Krishna, and if we cannot understand or discover Radharani within the 18,000 verses of Srimad Bhagavatam, then our study of the Srimad Bhagavatam has been pointless. Without the mercy of Srimati Radharani, all our efforts are in vain. So we are continuing from Canto 4, the creation of the fourth order, Chapter 27, Attack by Caṇḍavega on the city of King Purañjana, the character of Kālakanyā. Text 7. Duhitru daso tarasatam pitri matri yasaskrari Shilaudarya gunopeta Purañjana prajapate. O Prajapati, King Prachinabarhisat, in this way King Purañjana also begot 110 daughters. All of these were equally glorified like the father and mother. Their behavior was gentle, and they possessed magnanimity and other good qualities. Purport. Children begotten under the rules and regulations of the scriptures generally became as good as the father and mother. But children born illegitimately mainly became Varna Shankar. The Varna Shankara population is irresponsible to the family, community, and even to themselves. Formerly, the Varna Shankar population was checked by the observation of the reformatory method called Garbhadana Samskar, a child begetting religious ceremony. In this verse we find that although King Purañjana had begotten so many children, they were not Varna Shankar. All of them were good, well-behaved children, and they had good qualities like their mother and father. Even though we may produce many good children, our desire for sex that is beyond the prescribed method is to be considered sinful. Too much enjoyment of any of the senses, not only sex, results in sinful activities. Therefore, one has to become a Swami or Goswami at the end of his life. One may beget children up to the age of 50, but after 50 one must stop begetting children and should accept the Vanaprastha order. In this way, he must leave home and then become a sannyas. A sannyasi's title is Swami or Goswami, which means that he completely refrains from sense enjoyment. One should not accept the sannyas order whimsically. He must be fully confident that he can restrain his desires for sense gratification. King Purañjana's family life was, of course, very happy. As mentioned in these verses, he begot 1,100 sons and 110 daughters. Everyone desires to have more sons than daughters, and since the number of daughters was less than the number of sons, it appears that King Purañjana's family life was very comfortable and pleasing. Text 8. Sapanchala pati putran pitrivamsa vivardhanan dharai samyojayam asa duhitri sadrisharvarai. After this, King Purañjana, king of the Panchal country, in order to increase the descendants of his paternal family, married his sons with qualified wives and married his daughters with qualified husbands. Purport. According to the Vedic system, everyone should marry. One has to accept the wife because a wife will produce children, and the children in their turn will offer foodstuff and funeral ceremonies so that the forefathers, wherever they may live, will be made happy. The offering of oblations in the name of Lord Vishnu is called Pindodaka, and it is necessary that the descendants of a family offer Pinda to the forefathers. Not only was Purañjana, the king of Panchala, satisfied in his own sex life, but he arranged for the sex life of his 1,100 sons and 110 daughters. In this way, one can elevate an aristocratic family to the platform of a dynasty. It is significant in this verse that Purañjana got both sons and daughters married. It is the duty of a father and mother to arrange for the marriage of their sons and daughters. That is the obligation in Vedic society. Sons and daughters should not be allowed freedom to intermingle with the opposite sex unless they are married. This Vedic social organization is very good in that it stops the promulgation of illicit sex life, or Varna Shankara, which appears under different names in this present day. Unfortunately, in this age, although the father and mother are anxious to get their children married, the children refuse to get married by the arrangement of the parents. Consequently, the number of Varna Shankar has increased throughout the world under different names. Text 9. Putranam cha bhavan putra ekaikasya satam yarvai Purañjano vamsa panchaleshu samedhita. Of these many sons, each produced hundreds and hundreds of grandsons. In this way, the whole city of Panchala became overcrowded by these sons and grandsons of King Purañjana. Purport. We must remember that Purañjana is the living entity, and the city, Panchala, is the body. The body is the field of activity for the living entity. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, Kshetra, Kshetragya, there are two constituents. One is the living entity, the Kshetragya, and the other is the body of the living entity, the Kshetra. Any living entity can know that he is covered by the body if he only contemplates the body a little bit. Just with a little contemplation, he can come to the understanding that the body is his possession. One can understand this by practical experience of the authority of the Shastras. In Bhagavad Gita 2.13, it is said, Dehinosmin yata dehe. The proprietor of the body, the soul, is within the body. The body is taken as the Panchala Desha, or the field of activities, wherein the living entity can enjoy the senses in their relationship to the five sense objects, namely Gandha, Rasa, Rupa, Sparsha, and Shabda. That is, sense objects made out of earth, water, fire, air, and sky. Within this material world, covered by the material body of subtle and gross matter, every living entity creates actions and reactions, which are herein known allegorically as sons and grandsons. There are two kinds of actions and reactions, namely pious and impious. In this way, our material existence becomes coded by different actions and reactions. In this regard, Srila Narottam Das Thakur states, Karma Kanda Jnana Kanda Kevala Vishera Banda Amrita Baliya Yeba Kaya Nana Yoni Sada Fire Kadarya Bhakshana Kare Tara Janma Ada Pateyaya. Fruit of activities and mental speculation are simply cups of poison. Whoever drinks of them, thinking them to be nectar, must struggle very hard, life after life, in different types of bodies. Such a person eats all kinds of nonsense and becomes condemned by his activities of so-called sense enjoyment. Thus, the field of actions and reactions by which one's descendants are increased begins with sex life. Purañjana increased his whole family by begetting sons, who in their turn begot grandsons. Thus, the living entity, being inclined toward sexual gratification, becomes involved in many hundreds and thousands of actions and reactions. In this way, he remains within the material world simply for the purpose of sense gratification and transmigrates from one body to another. His process of reproducing so many sons and grandsons results in so-called societies, nations, communities, and so on. All these communities, societies, dynasties, and nations simply expand from sex life. As stated by Prahlad Maharaj, Jan Maitunadi Grihamedi Shukam Hi Tucham, Bhagavatam 7.9.45. A Grihamedi is one who wants to remain within this material existence. This means he wants to remain within this body or society and enjoy friendship, love, and community. His only enjoyment is increasing the number of sex enjoyers. He enjoys sex and produces children who in turn marry and produce grandchildren. The grandchildren also marry and in their turn produce great-grandchildren. In this way, the entire earth becomes overpopulated, and then suddenly there are reactions provoked by material nature in the form of war, famine, pestilence, earthquakes, etc. Thus the entire population is again extinguished simply to be recreated. This process is explained in Bhagavad Gita 8.19 as repeated creation and annihilation. Bhutva bhutva praliyate. Due to a lack of Krishna consciousness, all this creation and annihilation is going on under the name of human civilization. This cycle continues due to man's lack of knowledge of the soul and the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And thus ends our reading for today. We'll continue from text 10 on Wednesday. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Sripad Bhakti Madhava Puri Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Srila Prabhupada, Srila Guru Maharaj, Srila Gurudev, Srila Acharya Dev Ki Jai. Jai Shri Rupanuga Guru Varga Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the worldwide devotees, Sama Bhakti Veda Vrinda Ki Jai. Jai Navadvip Dham Ki Jai, Mayapur Dham Ki Jai, Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai, Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Ju Ki Jai, Ganga Mai Yamuna Mai Ki Jai, Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai, Giri Govardhan Gupta Govardhan Dham Ki Jai, Shamkund Radhakund Ki Jai, Tulsi Devi, Bhakti Devi, Vrinda Devi Ki Jai, Jai Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai, Jai Harinam Sankirtan Yagya Ki Jai, Scientific Sankirtan Yagya Ki Jai, Princeton Bhakti Vedanta Institute Ki Jai, Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat Ki Jai, Nitai Gaura Premanandi Hari 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 Bo Hari Bo, Jai Shrimati Uma Devi Dasi Ki Jai. Hare Krishna.
Sripad Krishna Keshav Prabhu Ji Ki Jai. Dandavat pranam Prabhu.
Dhanyavad Steady. Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna.